John Irola and a few of the crew here at TYT went to a Bernie rally at UCLA. Now, this wasn't just any old Bernie rally. There was a political activist component to it that I think is incredibly important to workers and labor throughout the country. Now, there are UCLA professionals who are striking, and they decided to strike during this rally. And what they're trying to do is draw attention to an issue that we're seeing at universities throughout the country. Universities are moving away from unionized workers, and they're pushing for hiring what's referred to as casual workers. These are people who do not have union protections. And so what you're about to hear is a group of these people who are striking, and they're gonna explain their concerns to you in much more detail. Take a look.
What are you hoping to achieve?
Well, mostly we're trying just to get a fair contract cost of living increase that can sustain people living in Los Angeles. It's been over almost 2 years that we've been out of contract.
Well, they're trying to privatize a lot of the work around the UC, so that way they can get away from having to pay minimum wage and to keep from having to pay benefits to a lot of the workers.
People don't want to take scraps anymore.
Essentially, the university does not want to invest more resources into the people who perform the basic labor that makes this university what it is.
All of us here at UC can learn from moments like this and protests like this and think about how we want to lead moving forward, how we want to represent an example of how to treat workers.
This is such an important movement because yes, it impacts people who work at a university or university level, but we're seeing this push away from unionized workers in pretty much every single industry. And I mean, there has been a very successful right-wing campaign to dismantle unions, and unfortunately, they've been getting what they want. I think people are starting to wake up to the fact that they're losing certain benefits and protections that are given to them, that are given to them by unions who fight for them.
Right, and I want to be clear about this. This was not a rally for Bernie Sanders. He did one, he came back to LA to do one like that on Saturday. This was a rally for the union, and Bernie Sanders joined that rally. And so that's great for a presidential candidate to take his spotlight and put it on an important issue where it could make a difference. And I hope we do that more going forward, where we actually talk about policy in the middle of the presidential campaigns.
Exactly, it's using his platform to amplify a very important movement and message by these workers. In fact, let's hear from one of these strikers and some of the speeches that they gave. Take a look.
45% of our new hires this year alone are unbenefited and casual. UC is trying to make us the Walmart of higher education.
I would not be able to sit in that classroom without UPTE workers, without the ASME workers. This institution would not be here without us.
We are going to shut it down. We are going to stand with you to demand a livable wage.
Will not be Amazon, will not be Walmart. That's why we're striking right here and right now.
That's pretty powerful stuff.
Yes, and Professor Srinivasan came on the Young Turks right afterwards, and he gave one of the more powerful speeches there that you saw a clip of right there to talk about the issue in a bigger and more full context. If you're a Young Turks member, you can watch that as well, tyt.com/join to become a member.
And finally, I do want to go to a clip of Bernie Sanders because he does a great job putting this strike in context. And he talks about how this is not just about the people striking at UCLA. This is a movement that really does impact workers throughout the country.
Because I believe from the bottom of my heart that if we're gonna create an economy that works for all of us and not just the 1%, we're gonna have to grow the union work movement, and workers are gonna have to stand up and fight back. Thank you very much. You know, I wish that I could tell you this afternoon that what's going on at the University of California is kind of unique, that this is the only institution in America where an employer is not sitting down and negotiating in good faith with its union. I wish I could tell you that the University of California is the only employer in America not paying its workers a living wage. I wish I could tell you that here at the university, it is unique that the entity is trying to privatize and outsource jobs. But if I told you that, It simply would not be true, because what we are seeing all across this country is a war being waged against the working people of America.
See, that's monumentally important because for the progressive campaigns, one of the pillars of those campaigns is higher wages for Americans and protections for the American worker, because the government is actually supposed to look out for you. Corporations are supposed to look out for themselves and maximize profit. These, unfortunately, these public institutions like University of California college system have now gone more in that direction, and that's not necessarily their job either. And the workers here are right to call them out on it. But it's the job of our leader, the leader of our government, to represent the American people and the American workers. So while one side fights to keep your wages lower and give you the minimum amount of protections at your job, the other side, here in this case led by Bernie Sanders, fighting for you to have the most protection and the highest wages you can get at your job.
And I want to encourage all of you to check out the full video. John Iadarola did a great job interviewing some of these striking workers, and you can watch the full video by clicking on the link in the description box below if you're watching this after the live show, or going to the Damage Report Facebook page or YouTube page to watch it in full context.
On Facebook, it's facebook.com/TheDamageReportTYT. The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.